Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. Well, there's some renovations underway for the White House, and it is quite the talk of both mainstream media and alt media, but not necessarily for the same reasons. You see, there's some alt media chatter that there was more going on with this renovation and its sudden start than is being admitted to. And I thought that might be good fodder for the tarot. So let's review the situation a little bit. I'll show you a picture of yesterday's when a picture of the demolition of the White House, the East Wing yesterday, and we'll take a look at those speculations and ask the tarot for some advice and insights. Okay, well, first I want to take you to a picture of the demolition yesterday, which started October 21st. It started rather unexpectedly. They had not yet received full approval from the NCPC that oversees that because the White House is a national landmark. So the preparations for this renovation for this ballroom have been underway since September, and those preparations were in compliance. There was no approval needed for that to start that groundwork for it. And the crane and other heavy-duty scaffolding and equipment arrived on site October 15th to 18th. You would think that's it till there's approval, but no. Yesterday, demolition started, and vibrations were felt from blocks away, according to some bystanders, leading some speculation to believe that there might have been, in with those deliveries of the equipment, a Trojan horse, if you will, of an explosive nature. So let's take a look at that demolition because to me, to my untrained eye, it does not look like the precise demolition practices you would expect with a national landmark. Even with less than a national landmark, I remember when my college did a renovation, they carefully removed the bricks from the building that they were changing and auctioned those off and had donors put plaques on them. And there was lots of opportunity that I think that the Republicans would want to have taken advantage of for things like that to create some historic memorabilia and have some auction items. But no, take a look at this demolition. Just a second, I'll take you to a picture of it. And I will have a link to this picture in my video description box. This, believe it or not, is the backside of the White House where that renovation is underway. Now, there's no obvious blast marks here. None that at least my untrained eye can see, but those excessive vibrations that were noted that could be dangerous. That, like I said, those don't reflect the careful demolition one would expect, especially of a renovation involving a national landmark. Now, obviously, whatever happened there didn't level the ground. Where that ballroom is going in, it's over the Presidential Emergency Operations Center. I don't think if there was some sort of a controlled uh, blast of some sort yesterday, I'm trying to use words that won't get me in trouble with some of my platforms. If there was a blast yesterday that was nefarious in origin, the Presidential Emergency Operations Center is nuclear bomb proof. So obviously, even though it occurred over that is where the ballroom is going to go, that wouldn't have had any effect on the PEOC. By the same token, there's a little chatter in alt media that what's going on here has to do more involved with subterranean cleanup. Again, I tend to disagree. We'll see what the universe has to say with the tarot, though, about it, because since this is over the PEOC, that is kind of known underground facilities. So I don't see that that has anything to do with any sort of cleanup because the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, again, blast proof, and it was over this. So what could be the intent and purpose of this? Because obviously there's some excessive vibration. The demolition doesn't look professionally done at this point. And I just kind of wondered what's going on, and I thought this makes a perfect tarot question. I hope you agree. I'm going to switch the camera and we're going to ask the cards about it right now. So there is some chatter in alt media that what occurred yesterday and is being kind of explained away by saying, oh, they started the demolition early. or without full approval, was actually a blast of some sort. And we do know as the swamp is circling the drain, those alligators still have teeth and they want us to know it. So I'm wondering, was there some sort of a blast or unexpected event that was the catalyst for this sudden demolition and that Trump and his administration are saying they're happy about? It's music to their ears, etc. So we'd like to know if there's truth to that rumor, plus additional insights and information. Our first heart card is the King of Pentacles. Then we have the Emperor, the Chariot. I'm smiling because these are major arcanas and they usually indicate the White Hats and President Trump. The current situation, we have the Seven of Cups. Near future, we got the Knight of Swords, the Empress, the Ten of Pentacles, and I'm going to get four more cards and see if we end up with any kind of a hard yes about this, but we've also got some indications that we are speculating and we're in the realm definitely a possibility here. So the King of Pentacles is just saying, it looks like, he's got this ribbon. He's kind of trying to spin a story. They've decided, think about it. If there was a blast, it was obviously not meant to level the ground, but it would then force the White Hats into two courses of action. You could admit there was a blast that was unintended. So, in other words, something got past security, something the Secret Service didn't catch. And then that would fuel the left saying, well, don't you think then, since obviously this wouldn't have happened if the government was up and running at full speed, don't you think this justifies going back to the table and collaborating about that budget and giving some concessions? If they had admitted there was a blast, or if they go with, and this seems to be the tack they're taking, is just saying they love to make Trump look like a buffoon, and so it makes him look like he had reckless disregard for a historical landmark and went ahead and proceeded without full authorizations on something he had decided to do anyway. So it was a win-win for the deep state by having these shenanigans go on. They had some choices. And as I said, they did the math, they did the calculations and said, hey, there is no way. We can't win with this. They admit to a blast. We get them back to the table talking about the budget. They deny it. Trump looks reckless. Win-win. Okay? Again, those few gators still circling the swamp drain. They've got teeth, guys. They've got teeth. Okay. The Chariot, recent past, things removed. I'm thinking what might have happened actually is that there was more planned than what actually happened. So while that demolition looks reckless and looks like there's some damage there, it wasn't nearly what they had planned or what they had hoped for. But again, they'd done their contingency planning and figured, like I said, win-win either way. Let's look at the near future. What's going to be the result of this? What's going to be kind of the outcome? And some further insights and advice. First of all, the White Hats, there's going to be some explaining to do. Not amongst the White Hats, but for those that may have been behind this. So there's plans underway to have some accountability happen for this, again, this sudden start to the demolition of the White House. And it's going to go well. The Empress talks about, things, the renovations are going to go well from here on out without a hitch. There's nothing else to worry about. And as a national landmark, the People's House, this card is beautiful. The White House, again, I'm seeing that the renovations, even though they may have had some additional elements in the fashion of a Trojan horse addition to somebody's toolbox or something that didn't get caught, the renovations are going to go beautifully and there's going to be some celebration about it. So let's get those additional cards. By the way, for my viewers who are not in the United States and may not be aware of this renovation of the White House is being privately funded. That's why it could proceed even though we're in the middle of a government shutdown, and it can proceed without any hue and cry. that it's costing the American taxpayers because it's being privately funded. The Fool, another major arcana. The Hanged Man, another major arcana. The Moon, one, two, three, four, five so far. And our final card, another major arcana, the Sun. Okay, guys, here's the good news. They tried to, again, they're calling it a minor win. In these remaining skirmishes that in retreat the deep state are doing, they're calling it a minor win. But look at this. What's going to go ahead is we're coming out. This ballroom is being planned for some big announcements that are coming out and some things that we, the American people, the human race, are going to be celebrating. And those are going to continue regardless. Okay. And I have never had a read have this many major arcanas in it. So this is a huge event, okay? And it is one of the last few remaining offensive maneuvers that the deep state has, was what they did to this, having this catalyst for the demolition. Like I said, it was one or the other. Either admit there'd been a blast or try to look like you were a reckless buffoon, and they chose to look a little reckless, and that's what they've done. But from here on out, it's going to go well, and we have some big, exciting, good news for us coming up here. We're going to be looking at a lot of things in a new way. Absolutely. We've got some people, hopefully these are just simply some of our deep state players that are going to be exiting stage left, and that's been in process as I kind of looked at in my last video, if you haven't had a chance to see it. And then the Sun, just for our final card, says, but everything is working out beautifully, beautifully, okay? With some divine guidance and some benevolent assistance. So there we go. Let's recap. But before I do have something I would like to say. I would like to thank those of my viewers who are on mobile devices who have hyped my videos. I have a channel size that is able to be hyped with the new YouTube program. And my channel traditionally, and usually if you notice, if you're a subscriber, you don't always get your notifications. I have some shadow banning that goes on, and the hype button seems to be bypassing that to some extent. So I want to sincerely thank those of you that have hyped my videos, and it has helped my channel to grow and my outreach to continue despite that shadow banning that is just a fact of life for me with the content I deliver and the way I do it. So I appreciate you very much. Now let's get to that recap, okay? There's some alt media chatter. It ranges from saying that the demolition of the White House, it has to do with tunnel cleanup, which I didn't buy because the demolition is over. The nuclear bunker fortified presidential emergency operations center, so that wouldn't be where nefarious tunnels are located. Plus, I think they've already taken care of a lot of that cleanup in the past. To the fact that some said, hey, there was a blast. There was some sort of a detonation there that was not part of the renovation plans. And that seemed to me, that struck me as a likelihood we might want to explore with the tarot, and indeed we did. Now, out of 11 cards total that I pulled, we had, I believe it was 2, 4, 6 of them. 6 of them were major arcanas. Major arcanas are just a little over a quarter of the deck. So I've never had a read have that be that major arcana heavy in a very long time, if ever. And what did it say? It said that they've decided to, that there was something. They decided to spin it as kind of a hasty, almost reckless start to planned renovations. But I believe what happened was with that equipment being delivered for the renovations, October 15th to 18th, when the scaffolding and the cranes came on site, etc., there was a Trojan horse addition to that that was not caught by the Secret Service or security. And that blast was the result. They've decided to let it seem that the White House is simply hasty in getting started without full approvals of this, because the other alternative is to admit that there had been a blast and then have justification then for, well, don't you think that that could have been avoided if we weren't in the middle of a government shutdown and there had been more on-site security, Secret Service, etc. So they've chosen to just let Trump play it out this way. And he showed up here with the Emperor card for the clarifier for that. So that's why I knew that the Emperor was spinning things. He chose the way to spin this event. And looking ahead, we have some really beautiful cards. The final one said, hey, things are changing. They're changing in a beautiful way that you're going to be able to, this is the people's house. There's going to be celebrations at this house and celebrations about changes that are happening to our world. And that's why this preparation is underway, because we're not just anticipating now, we're setting up for some big celebratory events that are coming. And even though those few gators in the swamp that are circling during still have teeth, nothing can stop what is coming. And it's good. That's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time and attention. I hope all of you have a wonderful day or evening whenever you view this. And if you'd come back or subscribe or share my videos, I appreciate it very much. And I especially thank you, those of you that on mobile devices hype my videos, because that seems to be beating some of the shadow banning. And I appreciate it very, very much. Bye.